Thanks, Danae. And these are some little excerpts of some of my bigger family secrets, so apologies to my mum about that. I've called the piece Family Secrets. My mother offers to buy me McDonald's and we sit in the car to eat it. Your sister is having trouble falling pregnant again, my mother says between bites. Oh really? I ask. Yes, my mother says. All I know is that if I still had a uterus, I'd have the kid for her. Really? I say. Mum doesn't answer. I sip my Coke. I wonder what she thinks she's paid for. What my mother wants is for history to repeat itself. We found out the family secret at Granddad's funeral. I say we, but a few people had to have known for a fair while before that. My mother found out when her uncle whispered it to her. I found out later in the car home, after Granddad had been reduced to a neat little box of ashes that clinked when you tipped it one way or the other. I should say I found out for sure. I had a pretty good idea of what was going on when I looked up after the service and saw my mother ready to swing at the man in front of her. I've only seen her that angry once. When she found out my brother had stolen her credit card and flown to Melbourne to impregnate a girl. It probably wasn't his express intention, but it was definitely the most lasting outcome. My brother has an ungodly mix of bipolar and severe anxiety, which means he's sometimes unable to make good decisions, to put it nicely. These illnesses began to present themselves around the age of 15, but treatment wasn't suggested until much later, probably because my father is not a huge believer in the legitimacy of mental illnesses. Strange considering his brother is a schizophrenic who requires constant surveillance. My brother is 28 now and still hasn't received any treatment. He says he doesn't want to be addicted to any more drugs, even the kind that help. The first time I hear the word cunt spoken out loud, it came from my brother's mouth. You shouldn't talk that way about your father, my mother says. You shouldn't have married such a cunt, my brother answers. When I was a child, my mother used to turn to me after particularly loud nights and run her hands over my head gently. You know, I really do love Dad, even if it seems like I don't sometimes. I would nod and try to change the subject as quickly as possible. Now that I'm older, my mother looks at me and says, you know I love you kids, but sometimes I wish I had have let your father go the first time he walked out. I nod and try to change the subject as quickly as possible. My younger brother was a violent child. He used to throw things when he didn't get his way. By the time he was 6, he'd cracked everyone's teeth in the house at least once, except for Dad. It happened to me when he pushed me into the door frame when I was 2 or 3. Mum said it didn't matter because I was booked into hospital to have my teeth pulled out the next month anyway. He was always the favourite child though, and no matter what, he got his way. When Dad came back the last time, it was because he wanted to see my brother ride the motorbike he had just bought him. My brother had screamed that morning when Mum told us Dad was gone and they were getting a divorce. My sister and I told him to cheer up. We'd get to keep the house and we'd get child support off Dad too. Strangely, it didn't help, and Mum let him stay home from school to avoid more stress. When I got home, my father was there as usual. Kids are so screwed up these days, my mother says. Kids have always been screwed up, Mum. You know what it is? Doctors prescribe Ritalin for this, that and the other. Some kids need it, I say. My mother is quiet for a moment. You know what it really is? She asks. Divorce. Everyone's getting a divorce these days and chasing after men, and they leave their kids to raise themselves. You'll never be getting a divorce, you know. I'll never be getting married, I say. What? Nothing. A story. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Neville and a girl named Mary. Mary fell pregnant out of wedlock and they quickly got married, only for the baby to be stillborn. Several years and still no baby later, Neville's brother Greg, a married man, came to him with a problem. He'd gotten the policeman's widow up the duffer and things weren't looking too good for anyone. Neville talked it over with Mary and fate was decided. Neville was to be the father of his brother's child and Mary the mother. My mother is driving me home from Macca's and bursts into tears. What's wrong? I ask. It's just that your sister isn't handling this baby thing too well. She's depressed. She told me she's seeing the doctor and going to counselling. Well, isn't that good? She's getting help. You, Rachel, Mervyn, Kyle, you're also screwed up. What did I do wrong? Am I that bad of a mother? I want to tell her that we never had a chance with a mix of Tim's and Wilson blood in our bodies. I don't though. I look out the window and try to change the subject as quickly as possible. Thank you.